Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to video class. Now today we are going to start a new chapter in biology for class 8, that is microorganisms, friend and foe. Now what are microorganisms? The first question is, what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are those organisms which cannot be seen with the naked eye and can only be observed through microscope. So the first important point regarding that is, these organisms cannot be seen with naked eye. And second thing regarding these organisms is, they can be observed. They can be observed through a microscope. Microscope. This is the definition of the microorganism. So these are the organisms that cannot be seen with the naked eye and they can be observed through a microscope. And what is a microscope? It is a magnifying instrument. It is a magnifying instrument. So microorganisms, as we know, they are present everywhere. Some live alone, while others grow in groups called colonies. So, the microorganisms which live in groups, and those groups are called the colonies. They are found in air, soil, in water bodies like seas, lakes, and ponds. That is the another important point regarding microorganisms. So, the question is, where are they found? They are found in air, they are found in soil, and in water bodies. And when we say water bodies, it is related to lakes, ponds, seas, etc. So, this is a definition about microorganisms and what are the ways through which we can see those microorganisms. And the most important thing regarding microorganism is that they can exist in extreme condition. They can exist in extreme condition. Now, what is extreme condition? They can exist in extreme condition. When we say extreme condition, that means droughts. This is one of the extreme condition. When we say droughts are the extreme conditions where a multicellular organism cannot survive, but these microorganisms can survive in such conditions. So they can exist in extreme conditions, and or we can say in hot water springs, in deserts, in polar regions, etc. So as far as the major groups of microorganisms are concerned, what are the major groups of microorganisms? Major groups of microorganisms. Microorganisms are found in five major groups. There are five major groups of microorganisms. Now, what are those five major groups? Five major groups of microorganisms. Number first is bacteria. Number second is virus. Number third, algae. Number four, fungi. Number five, protozoa. These were the five major groups of microorganisms, and we will discuss these microorganisms one by one. Let's discuss first bacteria. Bacteria. We say bacteria are very small and the simplest living organism. They are small and simplest living organism. As far as their size varies between zero point 0.2 to 100 microns. And as we know, 1 micron is equivalent to thousandth part of a millimeter. You have to remember that. And the cells and the size of the cells are in microns, angstroms, millimicrons. So they are single cellular organism. They are small, very small, and simplest living organisms. And usually the size of the bacteria is between zero point 0.2 to 100 microns. And as far as the shapes of the bacteria is concerned, they are found in four different shapes. Bacteria shapes. They are found in four different shapes. Number one, first shape is called bacilli. They are rod shaped bacteria. For example, we say lactobacillus. Lactobacillus is the bacteria that converts milk into curd. And second one is cocci. They are spherical bacteria. An example is streptococcus. Streptococcus. Third one, vibrio. It is comma shaped bacteria. Comma shaped bacteria. For example, vibrio cholera. And fourth one is spirilla. It is spiral shaped bacteria. Spiral shaped bacteria. And these were the shapes of the bacteria. Now, if we will just describe their shapes, and bacillus is or bacilli is a rod shaped, it's like in this form. And in the same way, cocci, or we can say the coccus, spherical, And there are various, there are diplococcus, monococcus, for example, this called monococcus, this called tetracoccus, and there are diplococcus. And in the same way, second and third one, vibrio, that is a comma shaped bacteria. And if we will draw the comma shaped bacteria, it's like in this form. And next one, that is a spiral, and the spiral shaped bacteria is like that. These were the shapes of the bacteria. And the bacteria which needs oxygen for growth are called aerobic bacteria. The bacteria which survive without oxygen are called anaerobic bacteria. And there are some bacteria which are harmful for us, and there are some bacteria which are useful for us. So that's why, as far as the name of the chapter is concerned, that's called microorganism, friend and foe. Some bacteria are our friends, and some bacteria are our enemies. That's why the name of the chapter is based on microorganism, friend and foe. So this was the first group of microorganism among the four major groups. So first was bacteria, and now let's move to the next one, that's called viruses. Now, what are viruses? So word virus means poisonous liquid. Virus means poisonous liquid. And viruses are the smallest microorganisms also. And as far as they can only be studied under an electron microscope, as we know, there are some microorganisms which we can study with our naked eye, but some are which we have to study only under microscope. As far as the size of the virus is concerned, the size is between 20 to 300 millimicrons. They are acellular. They are acellular. When we say they are acellular, that means they do not have any of the substance that is present in cell. They contain a small nucleic material, or we can say nuclear material. They contain small nuclear material wrapped in a protein coat. Wrapped in a protein coat. Virus can grow and reproduce on their own. Sorry, I will write it here. Wrapped in a protein coat. So the first thing regarding virus, it means poisonous liquid. Their size ranges between 20 to 300 micrometer. Uh, they are acellular. That means they do not contain small nuclear. They do not contain such substances that are present in the cell. That's why they are called acellular. So we can say they are not made up of cells. They contain small nuclear material wrapped in a protein coat. So viruses can grow and reproduce on their own. This indicates that they are non-living. So when we say they can reproduce of their own, so this means they are non-living. They are non-living. When they enter a living cell, they use the energy of the living cell to reproduce. The main property of the virus is that whenever they enter into the body of living cell, they use the energy of that cell. After reproduction, many viruses are formed. or we can say after reproduction of many viruses, the host cell dies and bursts. The virus spreads and invade the other cells. The virus invades the other cells. The virus invades the other cells. The virus spread and invade the other cells. We know viruses are said to be connecting link between living things and non-living things. So some of the examples of virus are there are HIV virus, and we can say polio virus. Now, as far as the diagram of the virus is concerned, as we say, they are non-living and they are present inside the protein coat. So if we will draw the diagram of tobacco mosaic virus, it will be like this is the protein coat. This is called capsid, and inside the protein coat there is a nuclear material that is called, whether that nuclear material will be DNA or RNA. So viruses are of various types, and the most common types of virus are RNA virus and DNA virus. That's all for today's lecture. Fi aman Allah.